Video games generally don't age that well. Restricted to the outdated hardware for which they were created, old titles can often feel primitive by today's modern standards. So it's always nice to see old classics reimagined with a fresh coat of pixels. Now, usually it's the games that were great to begin with that get remade, which makes sense. Why would you remake a bad game that everyone hated? To try and make it better, I suppose, but forget that, because there are many games that were great to begin with but have since been forgotten and would really benefit from a remake, and I'm going to highlight some of them now, along with some of the more obvious titles that are also deserving of a remake. Now, I say remake, but actually I'd be happy with just a remastering, HD graphics and textures and improved controls and stuff. Actually, for some of these games, I'd even settle for a re-release. Just a lazy port onto a lackluster subscription service would be fine at this point, because I just want to play them again. Anyway, here's a list of my favourite games that I want to see remade, or remastered, or re-released. Here we go! Dino Crisis. Let's start with the obvious one, shall we? While Capcom seems intent on remaking every mainline Resident Evil at this point, their other survival horror franchise, the one with the Velociraptor twist, is lying forgotten in their dusty basement. In this game, you'll investigate a military experiment facility on a tropical island with Regina and her team of special operatives, whom encounter way more vicious dinosaurs than they were expecting, and a terrifying escapade ensues. Featuring all your favourite survival horror ingredients, keys, puzzles, tight spaces, tank controls, and a spine-tingling atmosphere, this is an awesome game in dire need of a remake. Not to mention the fact that we desperately need more dinosaur games, and this one needs to be brought back from extinction. Fuck off. Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. While Capcom is down there in its dusty old basement, perhaps they could dig out this forgotten gem. A side-scrolling beat-em-up, again featuring dinosaurs, and Cadillacs, and shotguns, and bazookas, and flaming cubs. Because this is an action-packed brawler from the glorious days of 90s arcades, which was the last time I played it actually, and it's haunted my dreams ever since. I'd love to recapture the fun I had playing co-op back in the day, but the fact that it was missing from Capcom's recent beat-em-up bundle, and is also absent from Arcade Stadium, doesn't exactly fill me with hope. Perhaps due to its comic book adaptation, it's mired in some kind of legal red tape, which would be a shame because Cadillacs and Dinosaurs is amazing. This is an awesome game in dire need of a remake. Not to mention the fact that we desperately need more dinosaur games, and this one needs to be brought back from extinction. Fuck off. Sam and Max Hit the Road. The original outing of the freelance police, featuring the fuzzy duo of well-dressed canine Sam and hyperkinetic rabbity thing Max. This classic point-and-click adventure is one of the funniest games I've ever played, with its fantastic voice acting and classic soundtrack, fun and inventive puzzles, eccentric characters, and beautifully rendered backgrounds of America's weird underbelly make for arguably one of the best adventure games ever. We've seen remasters of its peers, Day of the Tentacle and Full Throttle, so it'd be great to see Hit the Road get the same treatment. And with fairly frequent new titles in the Sam & Max series, it seems only a matter of time for this one, surely. Discworld. Another point-and-click classic. Play as the inept wizard Rincewind and help solve the city of Ankh-Morpork's dragon problem. Explore lovingly portrayed locations from the Discworld and chat to notable characters from the series. With an original story by the genius himself, the late great Sir Terry Pratchett, and a voice cast of top British comedy talent, this game is well deserving of a re-release. And this game could genuinely benefit from an HD upgrade. As I remember the first time I played it, I got stuck having missed an entire location on the map because it was only like 2 pixels wide. And while they're at it, they could probably add some kind of hint system, as I recall some of the puzzles were pretty fiendish, but I hope we get to see it again at some point, as it would be such a shame for one of the few interactive representations of Pratchett's Discworld to fall into obscurity. And if they could bundle it up with the sequels too, that would be great. Crusader of Zenti. Crusader of Zenti for the Sega Genesis, or as I used to call it as a kid, ScHlAuChi for the Mega Drive. Actually, I think I used to say ScHlAuChi. But anyway, it's an amazing action RPG from 1994. Coming from a one-console joint Christmas present household and strong-armed into Mega Drive ownership by an older sibling, I was always looking for entertaining titles to fill the Zelda Link to the Past-shaped hole in my life. And none came so close as Crusader of Zenti. Travel across a vibrant, colourful world, recruiting cute critters to imbue your character with special powers and help you rid the world of monsters. Also go go-karting and chat with Sonic. Fun! Copies of this game are extremely rare and expensive these days. It was bundled in with the recent Mega Drive Mini 2, but even that's rare and expensive now. So the least we can hope for is a release to the Nintendo Switch Online Mega Drive library, but it's a really lovely game, well worthy of more attention, and I'd love to see it remastered proper-like. Lego Lord of the Rings. Almost as much as we need more dinosaur games, we need more Lord of the Rings games too. And while the shadows in Mordor are lovely this time of year, and Gollum's new adventure looks promising, haircut aside, we could still do with more adventures in Tolkien's universe. And I think a great place to start would be a complete edition of LEGO Lord of the Rings and LEGO Hobbit. Play through all the main events of the story and make the journey from the Shire to Mordor in what I think is one of the most charming portrayals of Middle-earth going, and one of the best LEGO games to boot. Beautifully miniaturised in LEGO form and full of fun tributes to PJ's cinematic masterpiece, I think a remake in a similar vein to the ScHlAuChi saga would be awesome, and a great opportunity to add in the missing third instalment of the LEGO Hobbit game. One LEGO game to rule them all? Or something you shall not Game Pass? Fuck off. Syndicate Wars. This is a fantastic squad command game from 1996. Set in deeply atmospheric cyberpunk dystopia, you get to choose to fight for one of the two warring factions, the Agents of the Eurocorp or a Zealot of the Church of the New Epoch. Equip your agents with cybernetic enhancements and state-of-the-art weaponry to remove those who oppose you. There are many strategies to employ to get the upper hand in urban warfare. Set traps like razor wire and mines and lure enemies into ambushes, or how about a good old drive-by from a hovercar? Or my favourite, use a Persuadertron to recruit an army of weak-minded civilians all armed with Uzis of fallen police officers to overwhelm your opponent by force. 2 campaigns across many sprawling city stages, full of destructible buildings, lampposts, vehicles, and an atmosphere that's so Blade Runner it'll throw you dangerously off your baseline. This game needs a remaster yesterday. Katamari Forever. A remaster of Katamari Forever is a shoo-in at this point. With the recent release of an HD remastered version of Katamari Damacy, and one for We Love Katamari on the way, Namco seems to be on a roll. Fuck off. Katamari Forever has got to be next. And I hope so, because I think it's the best of the bunch. From the PS3 era, it's the most detailed, there's way more stuff to roll up, and it's got a lovely illustrative look to it. Frantic, vivid, and frequently bizarre, Katamari Forever is the pinnacle of this eccentric and unique game series, and well worthy of some kind of glorious Ultra HD Rainbow Edition remaster. Libero Grande. I played a bit of FIFA recently and it was boring. Oh yeah, it's got all the real life teams and player names and everything and all the stadiums, but it's dull. I really want a football game that's fun. Something that eschews licenses and attempts at realism for fun gameplay. I want something arcadey, fast kicking and high scoring, but not really zany like Mario Strikers. Something more like ISS, or better yet, Libero Grande. From Namco, 1997's Libero Grande is a soccer game that puts you in control of just a single player on the field. Instead of switching control from player to player on the pitch, you instead issue commands to them to pass or shoot or whatever until your character gets control of the ball, and then it's up to you to make an impact on the match. And yes, I said character. Choose your favourite from Antonio Del Pacino, Corneli Valencia, or even Dirk Berlage. I think you can do something similar in FIFA's career mode, but it's the same thing every year and it's boring. Bring back Libero Grande. Plants vs Zombies 2. This is simple. I'd really like a remake of Plants vs Zombies 2 for console. The original Plants vs Zombies is pretty much a masterpiece, with highly addictive gameplay of strategy planning, humour, and a nicely ramping difficulty, blended with sunny visuals and a great soundtrack. It's one of the all-time greats, and its sequel is even better, but unfortunately it's only on mobile. Ugh. I don't care how unobtrusive the microtransactions are, or how the paywalls are avoidable if you play for long enough. I just don't want to play games on the small rectangle I keep in my pocket. I want to play on the big rectangle in my living room. Come on EA, let's have another Plants vs Zombies for the big telly. Please? So there we go, that's my list for games I'd like to see remastered, rebooted, remade, whatever. What games would you like to see get an overhaul? Or do you think there are too many remakes as it is? Let me know in the comments. Alright then? See you later.